with each district. Maybe if you have a chance, you put whatever artwork is in your district, and eventually if we all collaborate, then at least we can.
Oh, they are very close to each other.
Yeah, we're nice.
Beautiful.
This is the Public Art Commission meeting held at, 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock. May I ask Elizabeth for roll call?
Yes, Commissioner Pickle?
Here.
Commissioner Klein, absent. Commissioner Pucci, absent. Commissioner Melendez?
Here.
Commissioner Owen?
Here.
Commissioner Sharma?
Here.
Kelly.
Oh, and Chair Christian Kelly, my apologies.
Here, no worries. All right, I'm going to ask all the commissioners to stand up to do a salute to the flag. And everyone, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion carries.
You may want to ask if they're all in favor.
Are you all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pardon me.
Aye.
Blue folder items.
There are no blue folder items.
Is there, okay, there's no, because we don't have to worry about it. So we can just move on.
To the consent
Yes, to
calendar,
the
yes.
consent calendar, correct? Okay. Business items, except those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion, are assigned to the consent calendar. The commission members may request that any consent calendar item or items be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under the excluded consent calendar section below. Those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in one motion following oral communications. Okay. That's when I go to, sorry. So I go to then excluded,
You may ask the rest of the commissioners if there are any items on the consent calendar they would like removed.
that's right. Commissioners, are there any items from the consent calendar?
No.
Is it talking about the approval of minutes? Is that part of it?
Yes. Did
Well,
anybody have any?
Would anybody like to pull the minutes to discuss them?
no, there's just one correction on it.
I know
So-
I would like to pull.
Okay, so Vice Chair Christian Kelly would like to pull the item. We can pull that and then approve the rest of the consent calendar.
I would like to, should I tell you what I want to pull?
You can name the item, which is item F2, and we can pull that
Yes.
item from the consent calendar.
Item, yes, F2.
Then if somebody wants to make a motion to approve the remainder of the consent calendar, we can do that.
Make the motion to approve the rest of the consent calendar.
I second it.
And just for the record, there are no one has their hand raised on Zoom, and there are no e-comments related to the consent calendar, and there were no submissions for public speakers. Oh, there are, I
For the
apologize.
pulled
There are-
item, for the pulled
As
item.
one fell down the floor.
So we will discuss that because it's been pulled.
It was on the floor, okay. Sorry. And that's for F2.
Yes, so you may want to take a vote on the motion and the
First, before
second.
doing that. Okay. And then do I speak on the?
Yes, after the vote on
after
consent
the-
calendar.
Okay, so I make a
This
motion
is,
To approve the consent
Approve the
calendar,
consent-
except for item
except
F2.
for F2.
Yes.
Yes, except for F2.
That motion was already made by Diane and seconded by Paul.
So it was already made, the motion was made,
Okay,
and it was seconded by Commissioner Melendez, I believe. And then now you have to take a vote. All in favor? to
all in
approve.
favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Now,
And now you may speak to the excluded consent calendar item,
yes,
which is item F2.
F2. And it was regarding the minutes from January.
From January 24th, 2024, as well as the minutes from May 24th, 2023,
But this one's from the January one.
for both. So
both.
do you want to speak to the
Oh, yeah,
January one?
does anybody have anything for the May?
I do.
Okay,
There was a typo on page 13 for the May meeting. It's just for the adjournment. If you go to page 13, the next meeting,
The date, right?
date,
Yeah, I
yes.
saw that too.
Okay,
March
It's
20th.
March 20th, 2024, but for May, it should have been for the next August meeting,
okay,
July
thank you.
meeting, sorry.
Okay,
and then,
And then that was for the May, yes. And for, I think, for January, it was page 16.
regarding the female speaker, are you talking about that?
Exactly,
It should have been
yeah.
Georgette Gantner.
Yeah.
okay, great, thank you.
And also, when it says Vice Chair Christian Kelly called for short recess, it was Susan Lappin, and then we all agreed. But it was Susan Lappin who called quickly for them.
Okay,
Okay, and that was all.
okay. Do you want to take public comment?
And we would love to have public comment. And I have Ron Morocco.
I wanted to, you addressed at least the female speaker, which was one of the things that she's a former commissioner. That was important. On the section that I spoke during public participation, it kind of misses the whole point because I had asked specifically about one location and artwork for the Manhattan Beach and Inglewood Boulevard, so that needs to be included in there. And also at the end of it, it talks about has already been approved. I was pointing out, and this was part of the discussion in 2021, by both the commission and the city council. So that does need to be, that context needs to be added to it because it's incomplete without it. Thank you.
Thank you.
One other thing, we still have 2 minutes and 10 seconds. If it's possible, could you add at the end of the paragraph where I'm talking that I sat down because all the discussion that happened afterwards, I was already in my seat.
So
This
sitting
was what
down
page? Right
that?
here, okay.
in the,
15.
okay, we'll direct that to staff.
Staff's made note of it, and
Okay,
If those amendments are acceptable to the commission, then the direction would be to include that with a motion and a second. And then after we verify if there's any additional comments,
Okay.
then the commission would vote on that.
is there any additional comments?
do you want to check if there's comments on Zoom?
Yes, please, is there any comments on Zoom? Okay, can we have a motion?
No, there are, just for the record, there are no one with their hand raised on Zoom, and there are no e-comments for this item.
Okay, can we make a motion to,
Do you want to approve the minutes with the edits recommended? and made?
Say that again?
Approve the minutes with the edits
Yes.
or,
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the edits.
And I second it.
Cool.
vote?
Okay.
All those in
And
favor?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Oh, okay, yes.
Well played,
Okay.
well played.
Motion.
Okay. Just for process, could we take the vote one more time? So all those in favor, all those not in favor, and then all those who abstain? And then
Abstain.
when you abstain, could you provide a reason for the abstention?
I wasn't here.
Okay, can we do the vote one more time for the
Yes, can
record?
we all have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those abstaining? Or all those?
I
yeah,
abstain because I'm new to the
To the,
commission. I
of
wasn't here.
course, of course.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
And
And that closes that item.
the motion carries.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we go to each, Mike, what?
Public participation
Public
on non-agenda
participation
items.
on agenda items. This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on any subject that does not appear on the agenda for action. This section is limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes to address the commission. Each speaker will be permitted to speak only once. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak?
So there was one,
Right here?
Yes.
Yeah. Ron?
Hello again, Commissioner.
Oh, hey.
Mine are general comments. If you notice from the minutes that you just approved from the last meeting, there was a number of referrals to staff in the agenda. Commissioner Klein had asked for the Community Services Director to be invited to the next meeting. I don't know if that's happened. You would now have the Assistant to the City Manager, which I guess is good if you're going to be discussing numbers. But it was also a unanimous vote of this commission to include an update on the utility box program on the agenda, and additionally include a list of previously discussed projects and updates on that. And from all indications, this commission's request was ignored. I do want to refer the commission because you do have the ability of administrative policies, procedures. 2.12, section 2 talks about that the staff liaison and the chair of the commission will collaborate in the development of the meeting agenda. So hopefully going forward, if you are the new staff liaison, there'll be some communication to the commission with regards to what's going on the agenda. I previously asked what was the status of the District 5, Phase 5 utility box at Manhattan Beach Boulevard and Inglewood that wasn't wrapped. The answer I think I saw that was in one of the staff reports is that it's not owned by the city, and it appears that's the stated reason, which surprises me because of the statements made by John LaRock back in September of 2020, and the fact that the commission actually approved those locations and the artwork on May 26, 2021, and the city council approved the artwork and the location in July 20th, 2021. My guess, the next question that needs to be asked, I'm going to be asking it in a form of a more formal request, but I think the commission needs to be finding out, when did this commission first learn that something that was approved by the city council in 2021, all of a sudden we don't own the property, and why hasn't it been brought to this group before so that they can make other arrangements so that these boxes that are supposedly not open? I don't know. I assume that looking through the minutes that there has never been a communication until today as to what happened with that location. I'm not even sure that that's the real reason for it. But again, ask when it was conveyed to you guys that there was a problem with this location. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we ask
You're not
questions?
supposed to, well, yeah, that's,
If there's any more public comment?
Yeah, is there any more public comment? Please, yeah. Can you state your name?
Jack Rayner. Honorable Chairwoman and the Public Art Commission. I'm a senior at Redondo Union High School, and my name is Jack Rayner. I know that some of my peers from RUHS are very, very talented artists. We have an AP art program, and I would just like to recommend maybe a art contest that we could have some of the students compete and put different submissions together and have a mural somewhere around our Redondo Beach community. It brings together creativity and a little friendly competition. I think it would be a really fun activity for our RUHS students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any more comments?
There are no comments on Zoom or e-comments.
Okay. Then we can just go ahead and
We can move on to the next agenda.
move on to the next. Yep.
Madam Chair, can we react to the comments? Or should we do it afterwards?
You can ask clarifying questions, but you can't really speak or have conversation about the comments that are not on the agenda. But if you have a referral to staff or an item, you can bring it up in item K at the end of the meeting.
So I would recommend, yeah. Okay, so now we're going to, am I going right to
Going to item J?
item J, yeah. Items for discussion prior to action, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Shall we go ahead and then with J1?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Receive and file report on the history of the John Parsons Public Art Fund and current fund status. I'm going to have the presentation handed over to Elizabeth.
Yes, we have a presentation tonight for you. And just good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth House. I'm the assistant to the city manager. I'll be helping Gary liaison this commission. And this is our first item, and as part of our first night together, as well as Commissioner Orhan's first night, we thought this would be a good item to bring to you, which is just a report on the history of the John Parsons Art Fund, as well as the current fund status. We thought it'd be a good place to start. So if you could share my screen, please.
I just have an admin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing the D3, Dias 3?
They're going to be sharing it, so I don't think we have to worry about it. Is it going to pop up on ours? Is it going to pop up on ours?
You pressure.
What am I doing? Wow. Sorry, Juan. Oh, jeez, it's that.
All right, everyone. Well, good evening, Madam Vice Chair, fellow commissioners. So tonight we have a report for you, just an update on the John Parsons Art Fund and just a little bit of history for everyone, just to get a little refresh. And so the John Parsons Public Art Fund was established in 2014 with ordinance number 3127-14. It was named in honor of former planning commissioner and city council member John Parsons, who was a longtime advocate of the arts in Redondo Beach. And the ordinance really defines the situations under which contributions are to be made to the fund, and it also outlines how those funds may be spent. And the parameters of the ordinance apply to what they call eligible projects. Eligible projects are defined as development projects with a building valuation of $250,000 or more. And the ordinance does require that public art be included as part of eligible projects. And this would be in the form of an on-site installation, an off-site installation at a site already identified in the public art master plan, or as a contribution to the fund in the amount of 1% of the building valuation. So I want to share with you the current fund balance. As you see on the screen, it is $979,000 and a bit more. And you also see on here the $790,000 that has already been allocated to specific larger projects by the city council. And what you see on the screen is the budget as it stands right now at this moment. Do you have a question? Yes.
I have an answer. This Big Lots one. I was at the council when they had information.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
So that's the next screen. But I just want to show the budget as it is right now. So this is exactly what's in the account at this moment. And it's also exactly the budget motions that have taken place to this date. So without a budget modification or as part of the budget process every year, these monies don't get allocated. But there was an extensive conversation held on January 9th of this year about reallocating some of these funds to different projects and focusing more on immediate projects and maybe delaying, postponing, or eliminating other projects. So I'll go ahead and move on to that screen right now so you have that in front of you. So this is the conversation you were referring to, Commissioner. You'll see in that first column that budgeted amount, right? That's the $790,000 that we saw on the previous screen. That's the budget as it is right now. And then on January 9th, as part of a discussion related to the Artesia project, they also discussed reallocating or potentially reallocating certain funds to different projects. And you'll see that in column 2. The third column is just the net impact of that change. So you'll see it's an additional $5,000 for the Gateway, and you'll see at the bottom $400,000 added for the Artesia effort. So column 1, budget as it is right now. Column 2, the conversation they had. And then column 3 is essentially what that impact would be to that line item. At the bottom, you'll see, current fund balance, allocated budget, the remaining fund balance, but what that fund balance would look like with these proposed amendments. And you'll see that deficit of about $46,000. And so during their conversation at the January 9th meeting, the council considered many things. One of them is the fact that on an annual basis, this fund accumulates between $30,000 and $50,000 a year in revenue. So they know that funding is continuing to come in. They also discussed, the South Bay Social District project that's up and coming. And as the phases roll out, certain funds will be coming into this account specifically for Artesia. So they want to consider that. And they also discussed, these projects don't all happen at once. They'll take months to kind of come online. Artesia may take years to come online. And so we see that deficit now, but this fund won't ever be in a deficit. There will be funds coming into it as things roll along. But I just want to make it very clear, there wasn't a motion made for budget modification that night. They did discuss this, and I thought that was important for the commission to see and understand. This is kind of how they're prioritizing some of these projects right now, and it's important for you to be aware of these conversations that they're having at council. And so I did want to leave this up on the screen, though, because you'll see there's 2 projects not on there right now. One of them is the utility box project. I know that's a priority for many of our commissioners, and it's been an ongoing project. Each utility box is about $1,400 each last time we did it. Those are smaller line items. We would continue taking those to council as that project moves on into the next phase. So you don't see it here because it isn't one of the bigger projects, but something that we can certainly continue in our efforts to promote public art in Redondo Beach. And then the second project is also on our agenda. It's the permanent art installation that commemorates LGBTQIA+ community in the South Bay and Redondo Beach. We'll discuss that in the next agenda item. And depending on your conversation tonight, depending on what direction you give us, depending on the recommendations you give to council, that may be something we bring back to them for them to consider to fund out of this account. But I just wanted to mention those 2 projects because they are floating out there, and I just want to inform you of where we are with them in terms of status. And so, talked about that. The only recommendation we have tonight is a receive and file for this report, but because it's on the discussion agenda category, it does give you an opportunity to discuss it and ask staff any questions you may have about it. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Madam Vice Chair.
Commission, does anybody have anything they want to add to this for discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Madam
Yes.
Vice Chair. I'm just gonna concentrate on the revenue side. You mentioned the annual expectation is like $30,000 to $50,000. Given it's 1%, that corresponds to a total value of $3 million a year, which seems incredibly small to me. So my question is, would you know who actually, does the accounting for this? I mean, for the revenues?
Our finance department collects all that information, and if you would like, as part of our next agenda, if you'd like more detail on a monthly accumulation or even the past year, if you want to see how those funds rolled in, we can certainly provide that
That would
to
be
you.
fantastic, especially if we can also get some historical data on that, like, how much money was collected. The other thing is, if they could also, or if you could provide us next time with a definition of eligible private development projects, which is obviously the term which is used. I mean, whether that's includes commercial development, residential development. For example, we have had major industrial development in our district over the last 5 years, with my estimate of market value of multi-million dollars. And whether the council or anybody else has granted certain exemptions
That's a good question.
to this fund, because it seems to me that we need to have much more money in this fund if it's 1% of any of the developments above $250,000.
Okay,
Thank you.
we can certainly collect that information for you for the next meeting.
Okay, anybody else?
So your question is, you're saying more residential, like you've seen residential properties? Is that what you're asking?
No, I'm seeing both industrial. I'm not going to name the company, but everybody knows if you drive towards Costco, you'll see like huge buildings on your left. There is obviously a lot of commercial development in Redondo Beach. And of course, there's also residential. I think we are leaving the public developments aside. That's obvious.
Okay.
Because it says private. But I would love to find out what's the definition of the eligible private development is. And historical value data would be fantastic.
And if there's any exceptions as well.
Thank you. Yeah,
Right.
thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Now for public, and then receive and file, correct? Yes. Is there any public comment? Ron?
Sure. I'm glad that you have the person here that actually knows the numbers, probably the best, if not besides the city manager himself. I was curious, on January 18th, a report was submitted to this commission that had $60,713.94 in the initial amount. So it was $979 plus $60,000.
Ron, can you address the commission?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Sorry, Madam
No.
Chair. So the January report that you all received had an additional 60,000. So the starting number was not 979,129. It was $1,039,843.51. So it's not clear. Now I don't see the screen anymore, but it's not clear as to what that $60,000 and why it's not included in the report that you're getting tonight.
Thank you.
This one you can actually comment back if you want to.
Yes, does anybody?
I can provide
Yes,
clarification.
please.
I'm not quite sure where that number came from, I'm going to be honest. I got my number, I worked with our finance director to ensure that it was the most up-to-date number, and this is the number that I was provided, so that's the one I used. So I wasn't part of that initial table creation, but what I provided tonight is what I received from our finance director.
So financially, right now, whatever the number is tonight is what we're
Yes.
set in stone. So it's possible that whatever number you're talking about we may have slipped up in the past. Is that the?
I don't know.
I'll give
All
you
right.
my copies from the last.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
But the number we get tonight should provide.
That is the
Clarity.
very
That is
latest
the
number.
very
That is the
latest
number right
number.
now, yes.
Is there more public comment? Georgette?
Hi, Georgette Gantner. Yeah, I just wanted to add, thank you so much for refreshing the history, because John Parsons was a wonderful man. I just want to add one little bit to the history, that one of the reasons we had, first of all, I was on the Public Art Commission the first 10 years that it started. And I was on the task force with him. And it was an honor to be on the task force as he chaired it. So that was one of the impetuses for naming it after him. And also the other thing, it's sad, but I want to just mention it because there's a lot of things that have kind of mushed together in the history of Redondo, especially in the last 20 years. And I'm going to start writing a series of articles, if they'll publish them, to clarify and to refresh people's memories. He was at the council meeting when this ordinance was passed, and he went out to the lobby and became ill and died that night. So it was like, oh my God, so dramatic. Anyway, he was a wonderful man, and thank you for bringing that up, and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Georgette. Is there anybody on Zoom?
There's no one on Zoom and no e-comments at this time.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to receive and file.
Okay.
Yeah. I make a motion to, I make a motion to receive and file. Is there anybody?
Is there a second for that one?
Yeah, is there
I'll second that motion.
any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Excellent.
Okay, now we're going to go on to J2. Discussion and possible action regarding the process to procure a permanent art installation commemorating the LGBTQIA+ community and the appointment of a subcommittee for this project.
We have a presentation for you.
Yes.
Would you put up my screen, please? Thank you. My screen. Well, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. So as you had mentioned, this is a discussion and possible action regarding some direction that we received from the City Council last year regarding the potential permanent installation of an art piece commemorating the LGBTQIA community in Redondo Beach. And just so we have some background, a little bit of a timeline for you guys to see over here. At the January 3rd, 2023 council meeting, a referral was made to staff to prepare an item to discuss the possible adoption of a resolution declaring June as Pride Month in Redondo Beach. The resolution was drafted, it was discussed, and you'll see over there on March 14th, the City Council did adopt it. As part of the March 14th discussion, the City Council directed that a pride flag be raised at the Civic Center during the month of June. So that went hand in hand over there. After that meeting, at the April 4th meeting, as part of the referrals to staff, the council asked that staff prepare an item to discuss the possible implementation of a local competition to design a pride flag for Redondo Beach. They did ask that the school be involved in that as well. And so the council asked that staff prepare that, and we did. We presented competition parameters and a plan to them at the April 18th, 2023 meeting. The City Council decided that instead of a competition that year, just because the timeline was so short, that they would just go ahead and raise the progress flag, at least for 2023. But they also directed staff to go ahead and work with the Public Art Commission to begin discussing a way to procure and discuss locations for a permanent installation commemorating that community in Redondo Beach. And so we are here today to discuss that. What I did want to provide you with is exactly the direction that they gave to us, which was to work with you on the procurement and installation of a permanent art piece. But they also recommended as part of that, something for you to consider, not necessarily you have to go for, but consider a design contest for students and residents as a method of procuring the design for the project. So they wanted to put that out there. They were really interested in engaging our schools and our students. And so with that, I put on the screen some actions that are available to you tonight. Really, as staff, we're just seeking direction. We want to provide you an opportunity to discuss this art project as a group, and then to discuss potential ways to maybe start looking at locations or types of art, outreach we want to do to certain community groups or to the school district. And then we also want to include the option of forming a subcommittee. So if you want to really expedite some of this work, a subcommittee may be an option to do that, where 2 or 3 of you really start working with me and Gary more closely, and we can start doing some very intentional and immediate outreach to certain groups. So here are some options. I'll leave them on the screen for you, but with that, I'll hand it back to you, Vice Chair, and we're here to listen to your discussion and take any direction you may have.
Okay, thank you. Fellow commissioners? Any?
I have a question. I'm familiar with the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, not the IA.
Yes.
Do
I
you-
is
does anyone-
intersex, A is asexual, I believe, and then plus
Okay.
includes everybody else.
Yeah. All right. It's just me. We had, this came up, we had a couple people that came in earlier. Were they affiliated with any group, if anybody remember?
They were not, but there is an LGBTQ Center of the South Bay that we should probably consider engaging with. The 2 gentlemen that were here, I'm familiar with them. I think they're just very passionate about Redondo Beach and this particular project as well. And they did help us coordinate the flag raising ceremony last year. So that was Jonathan Zvetko, and I forget the other gentleman's name, but they were very active in last year's activities. I wouldn't be surprised if they start coming out to these meetings as well, just to be part of this effort again.
And it is going to involve some funding,
will.
for this. So I know that there's not yet, but hopefully intention of some wonderful artwork in Artesia project. I think this would be a great opportunity to possibly incorporate some colorful artwork along there that desperately needs it. So does anybody else have any?
I had the
Do you
similar
have the
thoughts,
same?
yes.
Yeah, it would be lovely to see some of that.
Incorporated with the Artesia Boulevard.
Yeah, and since, it's a whole new hopeful, with the conception of, with the consultants, and all that maybe that gives us a little bit of a possibility for direction for artwork to be going along there. Anybody?
Just to put it out for the young people in the crowd, when you're designing stuff and this comes up, if this somehow lands in your area, you don't necessarily have to stick with the rainbows idea the whole time. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't always have to be the rainbow. Just think outside the box kind of stuff, all right? That's it.
Anyone? Anybody else have any?
Can I-
How about,
may I-
yes, please.
I definitely think that in order to make not even decisions, but any kind of discussion, we need to engage members of the community. And you probably have a lead now, but I think one of the things that you could ask them, if I may suggest, is for them to further suggest other members of the community in Redondo Beach or South Bay who are involved in the arts world or something like that. And I agree with you, Commissioner. In Manhattan Beach, for example, we did a sidewalk.
Yeah, it turned out great.
Right, it turned out great. I think it's a fantastic way of showing the appreciation of the city for the community, and it's very visible. It's right by the pier, and you're absolutely right. You guys should get involved as students and definitely think outside of the box.
I concur.
Thank you.
Anyone? Is there any public comment? Come. Yeah.
And as speakers come up, if they could please state their name for the record, that would be awesome. That would help our minutes.
Yeah, Romel Kassad. Yeah, I just want to express my support for this type of thing. There are definitely a lot of, I'm in a lot of the art classes at RUHS, and I have been, and there are a lot of members of the LGBTQIA+. There's a lot of members of that community in the art classes, so I definitely do think that there would be tons of submission for this sort of thing, and there'd be a lot of support on behalf of the school and behalf of the students. So I just want to urge that this is, I think, a very positive idea and should definitely happen.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Go for it. I'm up for it.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public comment? Yeah.
Georgette Gantner, I'm so glad you guys are here. It's so nice to see young people coming in and getting a fresh approach. You too, I mean, it's wonderful. It's good that the community is involved. This is, I think it's going to really bring the community together in such a positive way. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you. Anybody else? How about on Zoom?
My next question is, where are we going to go from here after?
So
we
just for the record, there were no e-comments and no one on Zoom.
Thank you.
So currently, the one direction we did receive as staff was to go ahead and reach out to who we do know in the community and see if they can provide us more contact within the community so that we can engage fully with everyone that we can reach out to. And then there was comments about perhaps incorporating the permanent installation into the Artesia project, so making it part of that effort. But that's currently all I have. I'm just wondering if there's any immediate work you would like us to do other than what was suggested by Commissioner Orahan, which is try to get in touch with as many of those community members as possible. So if you'd like us to engage with the school district right now, just as a prep work and get them on board, we can do that as well.
Yeah, that's,
So maybe possibly start a subcommittee, because that's what you were asking to kind of move it along. So
yeah, I'm just making sure that the mechanics of it, like for agendizing things in the next meeting, that we keep this
Keep it
going.
rolling.
So,
which it would probably be good to just start a subcommittee to keep it going too,
yeah,
if anybody. Yeah.
sure.
So a subcommittee would just allow me to work with 2 or 3 of you more actively between meetings, because these meetings do take place every 2 months. So if there's some work that you're very interested in accomplishing between the 2 meetings, a subcommittee would help us do that.
May I further suggest that while it's a very high possibility that this could be incorporated into the Artesia project, let's just keep an open mind. And Artesia project is a big project. This is a very important project. Let's not basically, force people to incorporate it, because the Artesia project may actually take much longer because it's a much bigger project. And I think there are some other very visible, very beautiful venues within Redondo Beach.
There's also that they're going to propose with the years, if you look in the back, like what the proposal is for the time span for the Artesia project. So if you look at how long some of these take, it would be within, I think, the time frame of that. So that's why I would start it now to get things going for that, while we already have it basically in writing, so.
Just to be open, you had something in mind though? Like
No, I don't have anything in mind, but
Okay.
all I'm saying is, since we don't have members of the community here, we haven't formed the committee, we haven't discussed it, let's just approach it with
Still,
a
yeah.
completely open mind.
Yeah.
And they may want to do something on the pier,
Right.
things like that.
Okay.
And that's where perhaps a subcommittee would be
Yeah.
helpful. We can meet between meetings and, explore the cities where locations might be
Yeah.
available outside of
You
Artesia.
have many locations. Yeah.
So,
So I would like to make maybe a motion. Can I
Okay.
make a motion? Can I make a motion to also start a subcommittee?
yeah, and it would be great if we could assign those subcommittee members tonight.
Yeah, would any commissioners interested in starting a subcommittee? I would like to start.
Okay.
I will. Would anybody like to join me in a subcommittee for?
I'll join you.
Thanks, Ashish. Okay. Anybody else?
It's okay, and we can also, since Commissioner Klein and Chair Pucci are not here, I could shoot them an email, see if they're interested in joining the committee, if it's okay with the commission to allow them to join.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
How many can be on the subcommittee from a
Three.
Brown Act point of view? 3?
3.
Okay.
Correct? Would you like to?
No,
Join?
not,
No?
I'm just relatively new. Give me some time.
Okay. So shall I make a motion then for?
You can make a motion to direct staff to do some additional outreach to the
Yes.
community, including the school district, and then make a motion
Make a
to
motion
create
to-
the subcommittee.
To create the subcommittee, and so far Ashish and
Yes.
myself will be on it. So can I should I go ahead and ask for a vote?
Yes.
Yeah. Can I get so sorry.
I'm sorry,
need a
was there a
second?
second? I didn't hear if there was a second on that
Yes,
motion.
that's why I was going to ask a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
the
So the
motion,
motion made by Vice Chair Commissioner Kelly, second by Commissioner Orhan. Okay.
okay.
And can you take a vote on that?
And, yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All- Any opposed? No? Motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to J3, discussion and possible action regarding a request for qualifications for RFQ for a public art consultant to support the Artesia Public Art Project. Again, do you have?
So tonight's presentation on that item will be by Gary Margolis, our Cultural Arts Manager.
Gary, thank you.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. So this item is a request for qualifications for a public art consultant. As you might remember, on January 9th, the City Council approved, as Elizabeth pointed out earlier, $400,000 in the beginning, and potentially as much as $1 million over a course of time for the Artesia project. And as part of that motion, they approved appropriating up to 10% of that amount for a public art consultant. So this item will talk about, why we do that and how we can go about doing it. So basically an overview of the topic. The goal of the Artesia Public Art Project is to use public art as a tool to help develop vibrant, engaging, and functional spaces that attract visitors, promote pride, and reflect the unique character of Artesia Boulevard and its surrounding neighborhoods. The consultant will facilitate the development and implementation of a 3-year public art plan for Artesia Boulevard between Inglewood Avenue and Aviation Boulevard. We'll call that the site. The strategy of the plan will be to use public art in as many places as possible along the site to increase placemaking and placekeeping as discussed in the Artesia and Aviation Corridors Area Plan adopted by City Council in 2020. So definitions. Placemaking is the process of creating and enhancing spaces to promote community engagement, social interaction, and a sense of place. It's a collaborative, community-based approach that involves the design, activation, and management of spaces to reflect the unique character and identity of a community. Placekeeping is the practice of preserving and maintaining social, cultural, and environmental assets of a place. Placekeeping protects the unique character of a place through strategies such as environmental conservation, the promotion of local businesses, and the celebration of cultural traditions. Opportunities for the integration of public arts were identified in the 2020 Artesia and Aviation Corridors Area Plan. This is a major plan that the city approved in 2020 to focus on the economic and social development of both aviation and Artesia corridors, but we'll be focusing on the Artesia corridor for the purpose of this project. So those opportunities. The first one, how can public art improve connectivity to neighborhoods? For example, integrating public art into pedestrian pass-throughs and shortcuts to improve access to the site. How can public art help create outdoor spaces where people want to gather? For example, activating sidewalks with works of art, outdoor dining, and other temporary uses. How can public art be used to help establish an identity for the site and its surrounding neighborhoods? For example, introducing public art placemaking objects and wayfinding. How can public art help reduce the number of cars using the site? For example, integrating public art into walking, biking, rideshare, and other modes of active transit infrastructure. How can public art be used to announce entry to the site? For example, implement gateway-style public art at the train underpass east of Inglewood Avenue and at Aviation Boulevard. And then I understand that you folks have provided some questions to Elizabeth that you hoped would be answered tonight. So hopefully I'll go through those now. So what exactly will the consultant do? What are his or her deliverables to the city? These are set forth in the RFQ, but I'll go over them as part of this presentation as well. Task 1 will be an existing conditions assessment. The selected consultant will conduct a review of existing assets, public art and placemaking initiatives along the site, including an assessment of their impact and relevance to the project's goals. This step will provide a strong foundation for the development of a successful plan that reflects the unique character and identity of the site and the adjoining neighborhoods. Deliverables. 1, develop a timeline and make recommendations for the refinement of this scope of work. 2, document through maps, photographs, or in a database, for example, existing assets, public art, and placemaking initiatives along the site, including an assessment of their impact and relevance to the project's goals. 3, do an analysis and presentation of best practices and successful examples of public art, placemaking, and placekeeping initiatives in other urban areas that could be adapted for the site. 4, conduct a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of public art, placemaking, and placekeeping along the site, including, and this is really important, all the yet untried ways that public art could be integrated into the site. For example, partnerships with businesses to install storefront murals and sculptures, grant programs for businesses to install storefront murals and sculptures, temporary art installations in the medians or along the sidewalks. Examples were offered by City Council El Paseo, and then one I'm familiar with is Art to See on Havana. Permanent art installations in the medians, benches, bus shelters, poles and signage, trash receptacles, bicycle racks, and pet stations. A database of area businesses, residents, and other stakeholders. Task 2, visioning and engagement. The selected consultants will conduct the first phase of the plan development, including the refinement of goals, engagement with key decision makers and stakeholders, and selection of priority locations. Deliverables are refine goals and values of future public art, placemaking, and placekeeping along the site in alignment with the recommendations in the ACAP plan, and any new City Council approved plans, guidelines, etc. Engage and collaborate with decision makers and stakeholders, for example, the North Redondo Beach Business Association, Council Districts 4 and 5, the Public Art Commission, and various city staff. Host at least one community meeting and present and facilitate a discussion at one Public Art Commission meeting. Develop a list of priority areas and locations for public art projects. Priority areas should be selected based on the analysis of existing assets, identified gaps, best practices, and regulatory framework, which was completed in Task 1. Task 3 is artist selection. The selected consultants will develop and implement a plan for recruiting and selecting public artists to be commissioned for the project. Deliverables are recommend members for a community panel to serve as the first review for selecting artists and ultimately public art projects for the site. Develop and present to the community panel and then the Public Art Commission for their review and recommendations a request for qualifications to establish a pool of artists with the necessary skills and experience to create artwork for the project. Lead the community panel and the Public Art Commission in the review of submissions from the RFQ and the selection of finalists. Develop and present to the community panel and the Public Art Commission for their review and recommendations a call for proposals to facilitate the selection of artists to be commissioned to create artwork for the project. Task 4, installation of artworks. Lead the community panel and the Public Art Commission in the review of proposals from the selected artists. Develop and present to the community panel, the Public Art Commission, and the City Council a map of the locations of the recommended public art projects and prepare a presentation to include relevant context and renderings or other visuals for each recommended public art project along the site. Develop a clear implementation timeline and budget. This phase may include hosting at least one community meeting and presenting at a senior staff meeting. Identify and complete initial approvals required for each public art site. Work with the artists to help ensure that their proposals address all of the required approvals and that their budgets include all of the required expenses. Work with staff to execute agreements with all of the selected artists and any other procedures requiring City Council approval. What is the relationship between the Public Art Commission and the consultant? The consultant will prepare for and facilitate the discussion of all Public Art Commission agenda items dealing with the Artesia project. Does the Public Art Commission have a say in what happens with the Artesia project? The answer is definitely yes, and here's a schematic of the process. It starts with the consultant, goes to a community panel, Public Art Commission, and City Council. The attached request for qualifications for a consultant maintains all of the Public Art Commission's current responsibilities for recommending artists and projects to the City Council. The only difference will be one or more community-based review panels will be used to ensure that a larger number of people, especially those residents and business owners in close proximity to the site, have opportunities to provide input on the selection of artists and projects. The recommendations from the community review panels will go to the Public Art Commission. Why do we need community review panels? Well, there are two basic reasons. The first one is advocacy. Public art may be public. That doesn't necessarily mean it's popular. Most people think it's a waste of money. It's hard for City Council members to support public art projects when most of the people making public comments on a public art project oppose it. Most public art commissions, therefore, focus on how to protect funding for the future as well as on how to spend the funding. Protecting funding means facilitating an advocacy effort that is stronger than anything that the detractors can put together. One way public art commissions do this is by providing opportunities for as many people as possible to get involved with and learn why public art matters. Lecturing to folks about the value of public art has never worked. The only thing that changes attitudes is the kind of positive personal experience that being on a review panel can create. And then the second reason is preparation. Selecting public art is difficult. It's not just about selecting what you like. It's also about considering materials given the climate, safety, ADA considerations, maintenance, graffiti prevention and removal, keeping pigeons away, and even easements and the construction of walls, as we're finding out here in Redondo Beach. All of these things require specialized knowledge, and the best way to prepare someone who doesn't have degrees in visual arts, engineering, and architecture to be a public art commissioner is to create opportunities for folks to serve on preliminary panels along the way, an apprenticeship of sorts, and learn about all of the factors that must be taken into consideration. What are the benefits to having a consultant? Number one, a customized art strategy. A public art consultant will conduct in-depth research into the city's brand, culture, and existing public art collection. They will research and study existing plans, policies, and procedures to ensure that the best public artists and artwork for Redondo Beach are identified and commissioned. A review of the city's current public art collection. The consultant will assess the city's existing public art collection in order to determine its strengths and weaknesses. An expert's eye will give the city a fresh perspective on the collection. Having this objective information will help the Public Art Commission and the City Council decide how to build upon strengths and improve in areas where there may be weaknesses. Identification of key spaces and proposals for new concepts. The consultant will study the site and identify key spaces that may not have been considered before, but that would benefit from new artwork. They can then propose ideas and concepts based on their research and curate an experience for residents and visitors that reflects the city's and the site's brand. Expert art advice. A consultant will frequently know far more about an artist than what the Public Art Commission can learn from a request for qualifications. In addition, a consultant with a good reputation can attract a network of artists that might not ordinarily apply to a call from Redondo Beach. Helping with the transition from studio artist to public artist. A consultant has experience identifying early career and emerging local studio artists who have the desire and potential to become public artists and can reach out to them, either to encourage them to apply to create their own works of public art or to arrange apprenticeships with more experienced public artists. Start to finish project management. A consultant will handle all aspects of the project from the initial consultations with stakeholders including the Public Art Commission, identifying and selecting artists, and working with them on their proposals to ensuring that installations are successfully completed and maintenance plans are in place, and ongoing collection management and curation. Should the City Council desire it, a consultant can act as an ongoing curator, offering longer-term advice and guidance on how to properly maintain and conserve a public art collection. Is this something that other cities have done? So just this morning, I did a Google search of public art consultants, and we see that Glendale's done it, West Hollywood's done it, LA County Department of Arts and Culture has done it, El Segundo has done it, Beverly Hills has done it, Emeryville has done it, Boston, Wichita, Albuquerque, and Culver City all have done it. What is the best way to select this consultant? The City of Redondo Beach has an accepted practice for consultant recruitments. We publish a notice or RFQ, staff reviews applications for eligibility, preliminary scoring of applications is done by a panel, in this case, the Public Art Commission. The final review, interview, and selection of the consultant is done by the consultant supervisor, and then the City Council's agreement, and then the consultant's agreement has to go to City Council for approval. So just to give you an idea of all of the opportunities, I've put together some images of examples of public art along traffic corridors. There's no narration to this. I'll go through it very quickly. And if you want to see any of them again, we can. Okay, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you. Very nice.
Beautiful.
Thank you, it was great.
Very thorough.
Really great.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put it out there to the commission for questions now. Any
I don't have a
discussion
question,
for
but if I may
discussion, sorry,
comment.
discussion.
Well, again, thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's incredibly well prepared and very useful. As somebody who lives in that area, I think one of the goals that I would love to see personally is to change even the name from Artesia Corridor to Artesia District. Because I think it will help the community, the Redondo Beach community who live around Artesia Boulevard to become, united and be part of that, whatever it's going to be done there. Because corridor basically implies a transient situation. People just pass by, and people do pass by. It is a major gateway, both in the morning westbound and in the evening eastbound. People just come and go. But for those of us who live there, we would love to see it as a district where we can socialize. And our library is there, or at least the annex of the library. And the city has some offices right there. So the task is, what you have described is enormous, because you are talking about, in my opinion, developing a strategy which involves the community, which involves traffic and so on and so forth, and then later on, a very specific task about like art selection and so on and so forth. I know there are some people who do that kind of stuff, but I think before we even consider hiring a consultant, which by the way, I support in a general terms, we need to probably narrow down the scope a little bit and do some of the homework ourselves as the commission or the city, saying that this is what we want to achieve from this project. For example, we want to bring the community together. As we don't need the consultant to do that thing. We should know that. And then, for example, we can say, okay, we want the traffic to slow down. You know, the transit people. So I would love to approach it from that point of view, basically separating into two, us more concentrating together with the council and other maybe commissions on the strategic side, and then the consultant concentrating more on the artistic side, you know, doing finding the artists and things like that. But that would be my thing. The only other thing I want to say is, you have mentioned other cities. Yes, I know that that other cities use typical consultants like that too. And you also mentioned the Los Angeles County Commission of Arts and Culture, or Department of Arts and Culture, I should say. We probably don't want to get the other bodies involved in this thing too much. But the only thing I want to say is they have enormous amounts of funds and they have enormous amounts of experience. I would suggest, this is just a humble suggestion, to get in touch with them at a very early stage and tell them, this is what we want to do. What do you guys, how can you help us? Or how, are we doing the right thing? Are there any county funds? And I know that there are a lot of county funds that you want to pour into this project. The council may or may not like this idea, but at least if we can get and you know, they are, Gary, as you know, they are very friendly people. They are. The county Department of Arts and Culture. And I think they are looking for projects like that. So I'll stop. Thank you.
To piggyback on what he was saying, as far as some of us, I apologize for my voice. I was screaming at a Redondo Union lacrosse game. To piggyback, I don't know how to say this, but I kind of took offense that a lot of the stuff that you mentioned in your presentation, which was awesome, it was very detailed. A lot of that stuff has to do with some of us and why we joined this commission. As far as us not like having the wherewithal about art and some of that stuff, it kind of, there's this freedom that this consultant's going to have that we don't have somehow. Like, I've been on this commission for about 2 years. We ain't get nothing done. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't done, right? And then all of a sudden we're going to hire this consultant and they kind of get free reign on so I'm a little jealous at the idea of a consultant. The other issue we were talking about is kind of like, my main concern is we talked about the history of the Parsons Fund. That money's allocated specifically, from what I gather, for the actual art, right? That's what we're paying for. We're paying for the artists and the art. On such a scope that we were talking about of it being a Artesia district, which I thought was a great idea, changing that name. Not necessarily district, but to have that talk, to come up with something where it's not passing through is a great idea. And in that same citywide kind of look, I don't understand why our money's getting used to pay for the consultants since it's a city thing. Whereas if there's this grant, like I'm pretty sure like down by the pier when they're doing the development, we're not paying for any of that. That's not coming. The consultant for down the pier doesn't come from us. So why would we have to pay for a consultant is one of my concerns. Do I think a consultant's a great idea to envelop and zip it all up in a nice package, to have a consolidated idea for that district corridor. Of course, we need a uniform thing. The city's having their own issues with, you guys should pay attention to this, the logo, the citywide logo. If you go looking around the city, we got yellow, blue, green, whatever, right? I love the idea of having somebody, I'm not even saying a consultant necessarily, but those are things that we can come up with, that we should be, that we haven't been blessed enough through the mechanics of this system for us to do some of that. And that's why some of the reasons we're on this commission is to take on some of that. So some of the things you mentioned, it's not that we don't want to do it and that we can't do it. We haven't been afforded the opportunity to do any of those things. You've been here. I've been here 2 years. We had a question about the boxes tonight, the utility box. That was 2020. We were all here. So there's a responsibility to us, for some of us, like you were saying, for us to do that. The other thing that I have is, this is more mechanical, and it's having to do with the exact picture, the graphic that you put up. One of my main issues about this commission and the way the city works is that the way it looks like there's this process we have to go through. You added 2 more steps. There's 2 more steps on your plan on that. And I'm not bagging on it. I'm just saying that we already deal with a step. We can't even get up to council to vote right now. And then we're going to add 2 more steps. I don't know what the answer to it is. I just know that generally adding more steps to anything is problematic. We already have issues with the 2 steps we have. Adding 2 more steps seems problematic. And I'm just speaking generally, like, as a simplistic way of figuring a lot of the cool stuff you gave to us in that presentation, as far as us maybe looking at it and boiling a lot of that down to be a little more effective, like you were saying, before we go forward on some of this stuff. There's a lot in there that you said that I wish I get to do here. Like everything in there is why I joined the commission, that this consultant's going to do. Like, it almost makes me want to quit the commission and work with this guy or woman that we're going to hire. I'd end up getting more done, and you know what I mean? Like, how can your presentation help us?
Can I add to that?
Oh, for sure.
Is this something where maybe more discussion and clarification could come to middle meeting, like another meeting for like next month, and that way maybe we could discuss it and just.
That's, if you guys want to hold a special meeting to have that intermediary meeting.
Just this?
Yeah, that's an option. And what I can do with that as well, since there seems to be some additional questions about the John Parsons Art Fund and where funds can go as well some of the history that you had brought up in our earlier item, we can expand on that, really focus on what those funds can be expanded on, so you can see where and if a consultant can be included in the funds expended out of that fund. I believe it can, because really the fund is supposed to help expedite and help procure and bring art to life in Redondo Beach. And that does include perhaps these peripheral efforts of having consultant brought on board. So we can discuss that though more in detail if that's something you'd like to do, just so we have a bit more history, a bit more background, a better understanding of the fund, since these funds will be used for this. And then if you want to focus the conversation on something specifically, perhaps splitting some of the scope of work between what the commission can do and what the consultant will do, we can bring back just the one item for the one meeting if that's something you'd like to do.
Something that we would all like to do. I think it would be very
Absolutely,
important. Okay, and can I add in addition to that, going back into this as well? Something else?
Item, yeah, of course,
Okay.
of course.
I also want to mention about exploring government grants, art grants. I'm hoping that if the consultant, not with the consultant, even just for us in general, I'd really think it's important for us to explore that on so many different levels for us as a commission too. I know that there are monies out there, so it'd be nice to get maybe some input for that as well. Is that?
All of that's great, I think. Anytime.
Absolutely. I think that would be like a perfect job for a consultant. Not only there are county funds, there are state funds, as you know, California Art Commission. There are federal funds, and there are a lot of private funds. And plus, we also have some local corporate funds. They would love to contribute to a project like that.
So just so you guys know, the city does have a grant writing consultant on board. So we could assign that task to a different consultant when the time comes. But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that we could alleviate the workload on this consultant and focus them on something else, and we can use our grant writing consultant for those grant opportunities.
That's kind of generally what I was looking at. There's a lot in this thing that it's just a matter of us like looking at it and tasking the city here. Like there are elements of this that the art should not pay for is all, you know what I mean? Like
Okay,
my
that makes
concern is
sense.
taking that money and just making sure that it goes, we're not just paying somebody to, 12 hours a day, 16 hours a day running the clock. When we got people that we're already paying that should be doing some of this.
Yeah.
So making sure
We
that
can
the
come back
load
that to
gets
that in
spread.
the next meeting. We can continue this.
We can certainly
Possibly.
continue this item to a special meeting. The agenda currently has us adjourning to the next regularly scheduled meeting, so it would be a special meeting that we would call. We would have to find a date that works for everyone and that works for the other commissions occurring next month, but we can certainly do that. And what I would just ask is that in that discussion, in that conversation, just be mindful of the fact that the consultant would also help. I know you touched on it, but there's only so many staff members that can do this work, and there's only so much volunteer time you can provide as a commission.
Right.
So you want to take that into consideration. How quickly do you want to expedite this effort? And if you start splitting some of this workload, what that looks like. So make sure that's part of your next conversation. But we can certainly agendize that for a special meeting if that's what the commission wishes to do.
Is there anybody that would like to add more to this?
Just make sure that we agendize kind of, when we write it down, that we do put those points in there. So we make sure to revisit a lot of the stuff that came up tonight.
Of course. And then I'm going to address the public for public comment on this too.
Is there any other comments from the commissioners?
Yeah,
Do
before.
we got
I'm
to
so
make
sorry.
sure that we agendize his presentation in there?
That after this, right? After the public comment.
So,
What do you want me to do?
and as part of your motion, at the end of it, you can direct us to do
We'll go
all
back
that.
to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do public and
just-
then,
just
I
so we
won't
have
forget,
the-
of course. Yeah.
Because he did
So,
a lot of work.
yes.
They do a lot of work.
Lots. Sydney, the public comment? Is there any public comment?
No comments on e-comments or Zoom right now.
Okay, but I think we
I
have a
think
comment.
there's,
Yes.
Can I have about 10 minutes?
Yes.
Georgette Kantner. First of all,
I was.
as being on the
I'm being
commission for
facetious.
10
Right.
years, I'm so offended by this idea, I can't even think straight. I'm trying to be open, and I will be. However, I want to know who came up with the idea that this commission is not able to do their job. Why do we have a public art commission if we're hiring a consultant for big bucks and people don't think we can do it? We can do it, you can do it, not me anymore. You can do it. The problem is that I think this idea is coming from maybe some of the new council people because it's their district. They're seeing that we have had a lack of cultural arts leadership since John LaRocca has left in that. We went for a long period of time without a cultural arts manager. That's rough, we're rudderless, we're going around in circles, where sales are down, whatever. They're seeing that maybe, they're seeing a lack of activity and COVID. I hate to keep blaming COVID, but it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Now that things are coming back and the city is capable, I had no idea that there was a grants writer. That blows my mind. And John LaRocque did get grants. So possibly that's where that can happen. I think the idea of an advisor in itself can be cool to maybe for some direction, but I don't think that person should be in charge of you guys. You are perfectly capable. I think we produced some pretty cool art just from the start. We were from scratch, and I think we did a pretty good idea. Also, the community engagement thing. What have people been working with the community? Are you familiar? I've worked here 44 years. Redondo is a rough crowd, man. The audience here, people out there, they want what they want, and they're conservative. Nothing wrong with that, but we need to have open minds and people with art, background and so forth. I think community engagement is. There's nothing wrong with maybe surveys, but I don't know. The community is welcome to volunteer and be on this commission. It's what we all are, what you guys are. Anyway, what else was I going to say? I guess I probably said a lot. I just get emotional because this is, obviously I'm coming out of these meetings because I'm very emotional about this commission, and I know we can do great things, and we have. I think Gary had a wonderful job. My God, it looks like you did such a huge amount of research, but parts of it can come, but I think you guys should stay in charge. That's my main point.
Thank you. And for clarification, the consultant was just going to be for that project. It's not like we're going to have that. I just want to make sure that everybody knows. I mean, even though it is like majorly a big, I know it's a big, I just want to make sure everybody knows that it's just for that.
Just for
It's not like,
Artesia.
yeah. But still, I'm taking it all in from everybody as well with that. Was there any additional
Or public?
or public? Anybody else want to come? And nothing on Zoom? Okay. So then
Motion.
I make a motion to, we want to make a motion to hold another special meeting for next month.
You can direct staff
Direct staff
to look
to-
at the calendar and see if
Yes.
there are dates open and available for a special meeting in April. Yes.
Exactly. And as well, we're gonna, I would like to get some feedback from the grant, from learning from the, can we have that person come, or do we know about,
What specifically are you looking
well,
for?
about government grants? Like, I want to be able to speak, I think we should be able to get some acknowledgement there a little bit and some feedback about the possibility of,
What grants are available right now and
Yeah.
the feasibility of attaining them? Sure.
yes, is it that of interest for
I'm
all of us?
interested. I didn't know
am-
we had a
Yeah,
person
I
that
didn't
hunts
either.
grants. That makes sense.
They do grants citywide though, so Public Works, Waterfront, but we
Right.
can certainly direct them to explore what public art grants are available to us right now.
Specific to that corridor.
Yeah, specific to that.
And
yeah.
specific to Redondo Beach, because what we have to keep in mind is that a lot of these arts funds are directed towards what they categorize as disadvantaged communities that are desperately lacking.
LGBTQIA plus.
So we can focus on specific categories of art, but our grant writing consultant will need to get a little creative in trying to find those grant opportunities for us, for sure.
Maybe we could get a grant for the students that are going to be submitting artwork.
Certainly.
Kind of overlap as much stuff as we can.
Yeah, I don't know if this is going to be repetitive, but can I just also go back to the first introduction part of the paragraph for addressing the Public Art Commission of Cultural Arts for the request for qualifications for the RFQ? In that first paragraph, I'd like to see, I don't know, but I mean, I understand that the business aspect is going to be listed for placekeeping, but I also, when it
Excuse me,
goes.
Vice Chair, could you specify which page?
I'm so sorry, 171.
Okay.
And it just says the goal of the plan is to be used for public art as a tool to develop vibrant, engaging, and functional spaces that attracts visitors, promote pride, and reflect the unique character of Artesia Boulevard. I feel like, as you know, even since COVID, I know how hard it is for small businesses. It'd be nice to have businesses be put in there somewhere too, to help promote businesses or something like that. I'd like to see that for the businesses, because we're going to be looking at them, hopefully for a lot of engagement with murals or whatever, and we're going to need them to, be along with us when the project comes. So if that's possible, I don't know. I just want to make sure that that's in there somewhere in that first paragraph.
Okay.
It seems like it's pretty, anybody else notice that? Or would like to add to that?
I
Okay.
wanted to mention that on page 177, task 1 about the deliverables, where you say, develop a timeline and make a recommendation for the refinement of the scope of work of necessary. I think there's a typo here.
Yeah, if necessary.
Yeah, if necessary, and there's a typo in the analysis one, the third bullet point. analysis and presentation regarding best practices and successful examples of public art, placemaking, and placekeeping initiatives in other urban areas that could be adapted the site.
To the site?
To the site, I guess, okay. But from my understanding, since we're going to hold the special meeting to work more on this, so we are not going to approve the RFQ here right now.
No, we'll bring it back for further discussion.
We'll bring it back, right? So, okay.
Can I make a motion now to receive and file?
You
Oh,
started
sorry.
part of
Yes,
the motion.
I did. Yeah,
So,
I take it back, sorry.
do you want me to restate what you provided us
Please
so
do.
far? So you, as part of your motion, you made a motion to direct staff to explore the April calendar to see if there's availability for a special meeting of the Public Arts Commission. And if so, we'll let you know, reach out to you and schedule that. And the second part of the motion was to engage our grant writing consultant to explore any grant opportunities available for public art along Artesia and Redondo Beach. So those are the two parts of the motion as it currently stands.
Okay. And also I would like to ask, and this might go later in K, because I want to address the young students from the high school to hopefully make sure that we respond back to that as well. So how do I do that? What would I?
So you may want to save that thought or that addition to the
Okay.
RFQ.
Oh,
Because that might be something you want to add to the RFQ as part of their public engagement efforts.
would
Really
that be at
engage
that
the
meeting
school
also?
district. Yeah, if you
Okay.
want to make those further expansion or really edit some of this RFQ, you can include that as part of the next meeting.
Okay.
When you further delve into the RFQ.
okay. And then also, should we do that with the, so then it might be bigger than we thought during that meeting. So I think we should involve the subcommittee also for the,
Would you like a separate subcommittee for?
no. Well, we're going to have, I think, a separate subcommittee. So we should just start a subcommittee for that as well. I mean, just assuming,
Well,
or should we just wait
the
to
only
see what the
issue
topic
is
comes
that
up?
it wasn't part of the agenda title, and I want to
No, yeah,
make sure.
yes, of course. I'm just making sure we're addressing it, and that's why I was asking. So what about the subcommittee, though? I mean, for the LGBTQIA plus?
That was part of the agenda title, so we
Right.
formed that separately. Did you want to include that conversation as part of the agenda? Is that what you're saying?
That's, yeah. I'm wondering if that's something, since we're doing that and we want to move on, because, with making sure we're engaging with the,
So as part of the agenda for that special meeting, you would like to include this item as well as an update on LGBTQIA plus permanent art installation?
yeah.
Any-
Or
any
at least some information, right, to give the public so they know that we're.
Okay, so I don't want to conflate the two. So maybe we
yeah.
can add
So maybe we
that
should just do that to the
towards-
next agenda?
What you can do, if you wish, during item K, member items
Yeah.
and referrals to staff, you
Okay,
can bring
that's
it
what I
up
can do.
then
Okay.
and take a
And then
vote
see a
of the
vote,
commission.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's just stick with that.
Yes.
I know I'm throwing it out
So
here.
that two-part motion is what
Yes.
you want to stick to
Yes,
right now?
yes.
Does anybody want me to repeat the motion?
Yes, please.
For the record? So the first part of the motion is to direct staff to look at the April calendar, see if there are any available dates to hold a special meeting of the Public Art Commission to discuss the RFQ for a consultant for the Artesia project. And then two, ask that staff return and engage the grant writing consultant and return with information about any available grants that are out there for public art along Artesia. So grant writing consultant feedback, and then seek a date for a special meeting in April. So that's the motion as it stands right now.
Okay, motion to receive and file, right? And then,
That's the motion?
that's a motion.
So you made the
I
motion.
made
We
the
need a
motion.
second.
Now we need a second, sorry.
I second the motion.
Okay, so second
And all in
by
favor?
Commissioner Melendez. We just want to
Melendez.
announce it.
Aye.
So all in favor? Okay.
All in favor, aye.
Okay,
Okay,
excellent.
motion carries, right?
Thank you.
I just
Thank
want to
you.
say something to you guys watching. We can't talk about anything not in front of the public. So what we're talking here, we're figuring out when we can talk again. Does that make sense? Like, we got a plan when we can talk. That's all.
All right, now I'm going to go to K, member items and referrals to staff.
Yes.
Okay.
So if there are any announcements that the commissioners would like to make about any events or things like that, this is a good opportunity for you to do that. And also, if you have any referrals to staff on items you'd like to see at the next agenda, you can bring that up and take a vote on those items as a group. So Vice Chair Christian Kelly, if you'd like to go one by one along the commission dais, you can ask.
Diane, is there
Yes.
something that you'd like to?
Speaking of the utility boxes, they were supposed to be on this agenda. Will they be on the next agenda?
So I had meetings with everyone here, and I let you guys know that I still need to do quite a bit of research on that item, which is why it wasn't on this agenda.
Right.
But I plan on bringing it back to you in May at your regular scheduled meeting. Yes.
Great. And I wanted to say that the utility box at Catalina and Torrance Boulevard is one of the first ones we've done. It's called the Turtle Box. I don't think it needs to be rewrapped, but it looks like the paint is peeling off, or someone helped peel it off. And then people put stickers all over it. And also, I would like the other members to look around at their utility boxes in their districts and see if they're okay or need any refurbishing, or if they have some graffiti or whatever, if we can do that. I know the one at the pier when you first go into the parking garage, that one's okay. And also about boxes that couldn't be wrapped that were on that are not city-owned. Well, we have boxes that we have wrapped in the past. They're not city-owned, and how it worked, unless it's changed, is that we called Edison, and they said, no problem, you can wrap any of our boxes. So I don't know what's happening with that, but it was pretty much a verbal agreement. We do have some of the Edison's boxes that are wrapped. So is that the reason why some of the boxes weren't wrapped, because they were Edison's or another group?
So I can't really, we have to be careful with discussing certain items.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But no, I'm taking the
I forgot.
questions so that when we bring this item back to you, we can answer those questions for you.
Okay. Oh, how many utility boxes can I ask? I can't ask that question.
I don't have the number off the top of my head,
okay,
but I
that's
will
all right.
have that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a list somewhere we have.
We have, I believe
it's
the last time we looked.
comes up every
altogether was
meeting, yeah.
No, I mean, how many submissions do we have?
Oh, okay, just to
submissions.
clarify.
The new
Yeah, yeah,
submissions.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We did, I did ask Gary for that information, and it was 46 artists have submitted, but we have to, it gets a little complicated because the amount of images don't quite match the number of artists. So we have to,
Oh, okay.
once we
Okay.
extrapolate that and bring it
All
to
right.
you, you'll be able to see just how many submissions were provided.
And is it okay if I comment on something that was previously voted on?
Of course.
About the public art assistant that would work with Artesia Boulevard,
The consultant.
the consultant. I think it's a good idea except for the exception of some of the things like that we could do at the Public Art Commission. And then I didn't know there was a grant writer, and I am concerned about the money factor of it if we have to take it out of our account. And I'm just concerned about that. I just wanted to add that because I didn't get it in.
Okay.
That's it.
I too, I think that we will be talking about that hopefully on that, but there definitely needs to be clarification on that with the funds for that. That being said, this is also an opportunity to let know about events that are happening too, correct? And so I just want to say the Friends of Redondo Beach Arts will be having a nice show, a pair corresponding art that is matched for use together regarding as one experience. The opening reception will be Friday, April 5th, 6 to 9 p.m. Gallery hours are April 6th, 7th, 12th, 13th, 14th, from 1 to 7 p.m. And it's going to be located at our beautiful Redondo Beach Historical Library. So if you guys have any questions or want to look, you can go to www.friendsredondobeacharts.org.
And what happens there?
And that's going to be an art show. It's going to be an art show at the old library. That's happening.
Is Lappin still doing some of that stuff at the library?
It's Nina Zach-Ladden. She's the lead on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's good. Well, it's the Friends of Redondo Beach Arts starts that. And then this is also the opportunity to then put something in there. And that was also for the students that you said this would be the time to mention that, or like.
Was it the students or was it?
Yeah, the referral to staff, yeah. Now you can see.
Yeah,
Reply to them.
yeah, just to make sure that, we can move that forward for the next, then meeting.
Could you clarify what you mean by
Yeah,
the students?
just to, because they want to present possibility for the commission for artwork, or
They
like
wanted to have a
possibly
contest.
a contest.
A contest, okay.
With their artwork, with the local Redondo Beach
Okay.
Union High School.
Are there any particular parameters you want to define for us? Do we just come back with an item and say, here's a opportunity for you to discuss types of contests for students at Redondo Beach, and just keep it simple and let the commission kind of?
I think that's not a bad idea as far as types, because I mean, we could put a contest every month if we wanted for them to put stuff up.
Yeah, I'm sure
You know what I
there's,
mean?
I'm
Like,
sure
they
there's
got the
various
Artesia Boulevard, we got-
media they
there's-
work in.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
plenty of
could be
stuff
ceramics,
to
could
at
be
least.
painting, could be
Okay, so you just want a
photography.
very open discussion item, just to give you as a commission an opportunity to discuss types of contests we can hold for the school
Can I
district.
make?
Please.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank our young friends for staying with us for hour and a half. Typically, arts is about, creativity, fun, and dynamism, but at least you got a first-hand experience of what public arts management is all about. So sometimes it can be a little bit boring. But I commend you for not only for staying that late here with us tonight, but also with the idea about having this art competition. From my experience, if I may, I have a son who is exactly your age, a high school senior, and he just participated at the Congressman Ted Lieu's annual art competition. Maybe some of you have also. And he tremendously loved it, and he's not even an art student. And they just, this past Saturday, they had a big reception at the Otis College for all the participants together with the congressman. And I think it's a fantastic idea. I wholeheartedly support it to have for Redondo, city of Redondo Beach, to have an art competition. The only problem is most of them are going to graduate in about 2 months, 2.5 months. So we need to move fast, very, very forward. I mean, maybe we need to decide about some certain things today, and then, otherwise it will be for the current juniors and sophomores, and the seniors are not going to be able to benefit from it.
We do want to be careful, this item wasn't agendized. What we can do, if there is a wish to expedite this effort, we can add it to that special meeting agenda, because it is a very simple report on staff's behalf. It might be a longer conversation on your behalf, though. But I don't know if you want 2 items to discuss, a pretty hefty item regarding the RFQ. This is a lighter item, and maybe.
And if I
It's
may
up to you.
suggest, I know since this is K, we can't talk about this freely, but, possible 2 venues. One of them is the Rotondo of our Performing Arts Center, which, if Gary agrees, and they will also have a little gallery there. And the other one, natural site for such an exhibition, would be the historic library, either before or after our friends from, Friends of Redondo Beach use the space, because I understand the contract has not been signed yet. I think it would be a fantastic thing. And if we, as the Public Arts Commission, somehow take ownership of this event, I think it would be amazing. One last thing, even though this is not our issue, But as you may know, there is currently a logo contest for the city of Redondo Beach. I encourage every one of you to submit something. Use artificial intelligence. That would be my humble suggestion. And then make certain corrections to it. The more entries you have, the better it is.
Okay, so we'll have this be agendized for.
If you could please, for staff's sake and for the record, make a motion to
Yeah,
add
I
this
make-
as part of the
make a
special
motion.
meeting
Yeah.
agenda.
I make a motion to agendize. this-
For the special
For the
meeting?
special meeting, yeah.
Okay, second?
I second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you.
All right.
I still wanted to add to
Yes.
the referrals to staff.
I'm sorry, Vice Chair, do you want to go in order, just to make sure you capture everybody?
Yes.
Christine, did
you Yeah.
mention the birthday?
I would love to. I thank you for reminding. There's also going to be, we should all be very excited because on April 27th from 10 until 3, we're going to have a lovely event at the Redondo Beach Historical Museum as well as the Morel House that's on Flagler. And it's going to be our 132nd birthday for Redondo Beach. There's going to be lovely, just a whole bunch of fun events. We're going to have birthday cake. There's going to be a juggler? No, juggler. And then there's also going to be other, and I should have that in front of me, and that's, bear with me. Bear with me, everybody. Give me a second, I apologize.
Would you like Gary to speak to it?
Yes, is that possible? Yeah, I didn't, yes, please do. Because I'm trying to pull up the flyer, and that's what I was
Mayor
going to
is
read.
going to be there at
The
10
mayor,
o'clock to
yes.
welcome everyone. The police trailer will be there with popcorn, and we're waiting to hear from the fire department, but they'll probably be there with a huge flag and the fire truck. It's a stilt walker as Abraham Lincoln.
Walker.
And he does juggling too.
Yeah.
And then we'll also
Amazing.
have the dancer who engages the audience in dances from around the world. There'll be activities for kids in the museum, including the ever popular scavenger hunt. And
Beautiful park to look for plein air. So if you're painting, photography, encouraging all those artists out there too to come and enjoy and along with learning a little bit of history.
I think
What else
that's
are we gonna
everything that's
have?
planned
Is
for
that-
now, yeah.
Yeah, is that everything? And then again, 10 to 3.
Yes,
Remind everybody, on the 20th, on Saturday. Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
Again, you people out in the stands that are either here because you have to be or for some weird reason you decided to show up in Chambers on a Wednesday night. It is your job to invade all these people's spaces. Like these events where they're having some of us older crowd there and stuff's free, like free popcorn.
Free.
And all this cool stuff, like some of y'all ain't got girlfriends or girls ain't got boyfriends. It's cheap. Take them to this thing during the daytime. It is your job as the younger generation to come through those doors and invade our spaces.
Beautiful.
Very good, beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful.
Next, any,
Commissioner Tanner?
Shannon,
Any comments?
do you have any more?
Commissioner Tanner?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, No, I'm not sorry.
Okay, I wanted to talk again about the utility boxes, especially the ones which are not city-owned. We were given a list of locations of utility boxes, and we went through the whole, the whole charades of, selecting district-wise each location and each artwork for a particular location. And if some location had more than one utility boxes, so we were choosing 2 artists or 2 works of the same artist. And so it was a long process, but we went through it, we selected certain things, we selected locations, and then we come to know that it is not a city-owned utility box, and then we have to start all over again. So we would like the staff to come up with a fresh list maybe, at least the ones which are not city-owned, so we can get that out of our system and not, kind of go back and forth on it. That would be nice. And some of the artworks which we had selected, which are not city-owned, we need to put that on the next agenda, hopefully, so that we can select a new location for that and have them start getting wrapped up. Previously, I'd mentioned about a utility box by Costco that was vandalized. And there was one utility box at the fire station on McKay, which doesn't seem to be there anymore. It's a nice shiny box now, but I don't know what happened suddenly for that. It's surprising we spend all this money to wrap up a box and to select an artist and select an artwork and wrap it up and then, few years, I think it was pretty new that way. And we have I think it's a new box right now.
Yeah.
So maybe we should have the same artist, the same artwork back there
Well, we need to find out what happened to it first, right?
which is surprisingly that we are not aware that suddenly a utility box has changed or, so.
Yeah.
Do you have some kind of a staff which...
Well, what we're going to do as part of that report, which is why it wasn't on this agenda, there's just a lot of work to do. What we want to do is refresh that list. We want to work with our public works team to make sure that we have a comprehensive list that notes which ones do belong to the city and which ones don't. We want to just double check that list before we move forward with any more of these projects. And then we do want to check up on the ones that were vandalized that were mentioned. And then we want to see what happened to that one that just seemed to disappear. And see where it went and explore rewrapping it with that original artist.
My question was, if it is a city-owned utility box, and if it had to be changed for whatever reasons, shouldn't the city would know, right? Because they are changing it, right?
We should.
So they should know that if it was wrapped, then, there should be some kind of a trail or, some.
Well, you would notice that it was
talk should
wrapped
have
so that when you
happened.
remove it. But see, the city.
Fountain that was in Heritage Court.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, sometimes, so a lot of this work is probably not city employees doing it, it's contractors, so we don't know where the miscommunication might happen. Or maybe it wasn't a city-owned box and it was one of those owned by SE or another company. That's why I need to do the research and see who it belonged to when it got removed or replaced, or maybe it got hit by a car for all we know. We just need to do that research and see what we can do to get it rewrapped. But that'll be part of the presentation to you at the next meeting.
It would be interesting if it was not city-owned and we wrapped it, we spent all that money, then that would be a waste, actually.
Well, if it was an Edison box, we had permission, but maybe whoever gave permission isn't working at Edison anymore, and they don't.
But then it should be a contract, right?
Right.
Written contract. so-
Right. It was a verbal agreement, probably should
figure
have
it
been
out.
more of a contract.
Okay.
We got the location, we'll figure it out.
I think we're,
No, we just want to be careful with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
conversations
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah,
But we can
sorry.
take direction from you, and I've got all that, so thank you.
Yes, and sorry, I'm not done. I wanted to also ask about the Public Works mural, which was talked about in the last city council meeting, and they approved. So I just wanted to know the status of it, and will it be in our next agenda so that we can move forward with that mural? What is the status?
There's some unexpected costs associated with that mural. The sidewalk on Catalina is tiny.
Yeah.
And so the artist needs to have their equipment and the space they need to put the art up on that wall in particular. We believe that will require that he move out into a traffic lane as well. And so we need traffic control plans and a traffic engineer to do that work. So he's currently exploring different traffic engineering companies that can do that work. And then internally, what we're trying to examine is Catalina, we understand, is busy and will require that it will most certainly require a traffic lane be blocked. So a bit of that expense is in that for a couple of weeks. There's a week where he's working on the other wall in Kudruda. And that sidewalk is much wider and there's a grassy, patchy area. We don't think the impact will be as strong there, especially there isn't as much traffic going in and out of that space. So internally, we just need to work with our traffic engineer and our engineering team to see what we can do for that part of the effort. So there's a little bit of legwork we need to do before it comes back for final contract. We want to have that final cost for the council before we go to them with a contract.
Yeah, my point was, these things were on our agenda, they go to the city council. So we would like to know the status of whatever it is, it needs to be part of like items from previous agendas, those kind of lists, which I had requested even last time.
I think she's speaking to the miscommunication. We don't get anything coming back down sometimes.
You don't, but I mean, it's a fair request to ask for an update on projects that you've sent up to the council. It wouldn't be part of items continued from a previous agenda. That is specifically a section saved for items that, let's say this meeting got really, really long, it's 11 p.m. and you have one more item on the agenda, you're just done and you want to go home. That item, we would continue to the next agenda. That's what that section in the agenda is for. It's not for ongoing projects. What we can do
Maybe
as
we should
staff.
add one.
So what we
one
can
bullet
do as
point out
staff
there.
is maybe create a discussion item. And as part of that discussion item, it can say updates to the commission on ongoing projects or any significant changes in projects that you've sent up to the council or ones that perhaps there's no funding for, but maybe there's some changes. Just general updates to you on projects that you've previously discussed. So we can include that as part of your future agendas.
Yeah, I think that
Well
should-
played.
Yeah, I think that should be on all our agendas from now on. So including our special, not the special one, but for like the regular meetings.
Just regular meetings, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I like that, and to add that to these wonderful maps that we just got, can I make a recommendation to, for these, a little bit of homework for us all, to maybe,
I'm sorry, I don't know what those maps are.
these are maps of each district.
Okay.
And of hopes that, that everybody will do a little marking of the artwork that's in their district to eventually help the city then have a public arts webpage to show all the art that's in our area. If you go into Laguna Beach, if you go into Long Beach, they have a public arts website with all of the artwork. I think this will all help us so we can collaborate, and then whoever, if it's a city or official or whoever, we can help give this to them so that way they can, see the artwork that we can mark that's in the area and collaborate together as a commission. That's why you have these. So that's all. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a good
Okay.
idea.
Yeah. Is there
Having the
anybody
map
else?
Welcome to the commission, your
Welcome.
first night here with us.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that we are set with that. And so we're ready to adjourn
To the next regular meeting.
to the next regular meeting, which is going to be,
Are we done?
when is it? The next meeting is going to be held,
2 months from now.
can you give me that date?
Yes, give me one moment.
It should be May.
Orada bıraktın ya. Hemen arayayım mı seni? 2 dakika sonra. 1 dakika sonra. Bir yere gitme.
Would it be May 29th?
It's the 4th.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The fourth.
It is the 22nd of
22nd?
May. Mhm,
Okay.
The fourth
Which-
Wednesday.
What?
May
The
26th.
22nd of May?
22nd of May.
That's your next regular meeting. We're going
2024.
to try to find
Yeah, a
date.
date for next.
It's my birthday.
happy birthday.
Yeah,
You're
happy
coming,
early
right?
birthday.
You're
Gotta
spending
work
the
on
evening
my
with us?
birthday.
Okay, so we're adjourning to that date. All in favor?
Aye.
Vice Chair?
Grudgingly, aye.
Aye. Yeah,
Meeting's adjourned.
meeting's adjourned. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Very nice meeting you.